Boom, here we are, round one. Our Media 1, our friendly co-host of SPDC. Seems like we always just get paired against each other. So unlucky. We win the roll, choose to play first. This hand looks okay. It's good against Gurmag Angler, and we don't really know which land we need. We only have one forest in the deck, so we probably want to search forest, but we'll probably not crack this Evolving Wilds right away. So he plays Mortuary Mire. He's usually some sort of Temur or Esper control deck, from what I know. So here, I draw a Fiery Impulse. Probably going to prompt me to sack and just get a mountain, so that if I hit an untapped land, I can play the Gear Crafter. And I draw another mountain, which is a little rough because finding forest apparently would have been better. But this is fine with me. Crumbling Vestige, that's interesting. So here I bring the beatdowns because I'm planning on Fiery Impulsing his Sky Spawner, and I want at least one creature in my graveyard for the pulse once I draw green. He hits Corpse Churn, is going to get back a Sultai Emissary. Plays a Vestige, which gives him the black mana to cast the Emissary. See, now we're getting a little punished. Emissary is not a card that I want to try to kill, and I have no ways to exile in my main deck, so he's going to be able to grind out from this pretty easily. He plays a Gurmag Angler, which is actually pretty good for me since I have the answer. I'll sack my 1/1. I could have got in one more point of damage and done it this turn, but instead I wanted to Treasure Cruise, way more efficient use of my mana. Draw some land, Tormenting Voice, and another cruise, so I'm set up to get ahead here. I'll take my medicine. Vulture Savin's a little annoying that I can't kill it, so he's going to get a 2/2 and draw 2 cards, which is pretty good for him. We finally drew our green source, so I'm going to ship this extra land, hit Tormenting Voice land, which means I can Tormenting Voice again. So we're cooking with gas. Oh yeah. And we have Fiery Impulse open now with 2 spells in the graveyard, so I might as well just kill this Vulture Savin. I could put him on running things like Altar's Reap and whatnot, so I'd rather just kill this guy immediately. He could have Negate as well. Sky Spawner, okay. 1 mana, okay. That's an interesting play that I don't think is necessary. He must just have a lot of things in hand and not any land drops. I guess he has a land drop. But the 1/1 sign is almost as good as just having the Sultai Emissary in place. That makes me think he has like another Vulture Savin or something. So while he doesn't have any counterspell mana open, or he didn't dress me, I figure I should just Treasure Cruise and get ahead on cards. So now I can play an Incubator Drone. And see, you can see how Incubator Drone does a little bit better of a job than Atlas Watcher would in this spot exactly, because of the Manifest that it could potentially block, but it gets eaten by a Grasp, and I just will shut up now and eat my words. But I guess if I'm going to block anyway, I have to double block with 2 tokens on his Manifest, and then he can Grasp after blocks. So it still works out pretty well for him. So I decided to trade just to make him have a 2/2 so he doesn't have any way to exploit it with like Vulture Savin for too much value. And I figure again, I have more Incubator Drones. So I'm just going to play 1 rather than both. So if he has removal, then I can respond with collateral damage. If I play both Incubator Drones and he has removal for either one of them, then I'm not really getting value out of my collateral damage or Fiery Conclusion. So it turns out one of his manifests was a Dutiful Attendant, which he flips, then casts Bone Splinter, sacrificing it. So he's going to get back a creature, and my Incubator Drone would die. So I can, in this scenario, very easily use my collateral damage in response to kill the Sky Spawner, because the Manifest is not going to be a problem next turn when I recast Incubator Drone. And I will take my 2 damage, and end of turn I will play Pulse for the first time since I have the mana, getting back Incubator Drone. Now you can see I just gained 6 life. Like, that undid a lot of work that he's done. So I get to attack back, play another Incubator Drone, basically hoping that he plays like a Gurmag Angler. So he got back the Sky Spawner. We did know about that. And he does play an Angler. And another Sultai Emissary. So he keeps sacking his Scions to replay this Sultai Emissary, which I would not necessarily advise doing. So end of turn here, I can either Pulse or Fiery Conclusion, and I think the better play is to Pulse, because it costs more mana. So I can get another Incubator Drone back, and now I can Fiery Conclusion since I'm not attacking on the ground anyway. And I can play the Gear Crafter, which makes a flyer to block his Sky Spawner. He has Silumgar's Butcher, which I think he is going to use to kill the 1/1 flyer. But instead, he chooses to kill the Incubator Drone, which I'm completely fine with since I have plenty more where that came from, and my Thopter is holding back his Sky Spawner. So I figure I might as well just Pulse again, just keep getting back Incubator Drones. Treasure Cruise is a perfect draw. Now I do have 1 Lore Master in my deck, so I'm going to leave 1 Pulse in my graveyard because I want to get back Pulse, potentially. I find another Pulse anyway, and a Fiery Impulse, so we got, it's a Pulse theme deck. Make another guy, and I crack into his Sky Spawner, offering the trade, because I have an Impulse for his Sky Spawner anyway. He's got a Gurmag Drowner. Can sack his Sultai Emissary. Can search for some things. And I'll kill his flyer. So right now we're in a pretty good spot where he can't really attack on the ground very easily, and I can chip away at him in the air. So I'm just content with playing out my Incubator Drones and just kind of saying, I'm fine with this ground stalled game. It's Corpse Churn, hits Land Cruise, which is actually pretty good that he can't get this cruise back. And he gets back a Gurmag Angler. Which again, like, if you really look at it, Incubator Drone is so good against just a flat Gurmag Angler. Because I can triple block with Incubator Drone, and it kills the Angler, and he only kills 1 Incubator Drone. So here, I don't have any creatures in my graveyard, so I don't really value this Pulse super high. And you can look, I do have 2 Pulses exiled, so I wouldn't have any Pulses left to cast, but really, I think if I just draw cards and hit the Lore Master, I'm going to get a Pulse back, and then I'm going to win. So I voice discarding to pull the Pulse. Great, I hit a land, which is kind of what I was hoping to do, so now I can voice discard a land. I really didn't want to voice discard to voice there. I wanted to keep drawing cards. I wanted to get ahead on cards there. So here, again, I'm just 4 Incubator Drone. Good luck. And then Basher 1. So don't know what he can do. Duress is fine. He takes one of my bad removal spells, so I'm glad I got the Tormenting Voices. So he does attack, but I have so many creatures. Again, I just quad block with Incubator Drones, just block with some things, so I don't take any damage. Kind of feeling out. He's got 1 card in hand. I kind of wanted him to play his trick. If it was like a Butcher's Glee or something, I just kind of wanted him to play his trick, and there we go. I hit Lore Master. So now I can bash for 1, and I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Perfect. I also have 4 extra Scions open as well. So he attempts to grasp it, and so this is exactly why you play it when you have at least 6 mana open. So grasp was his last card in hand. Ooh, so I guess if I only blocked with 3 incubator drone tokens. He could have grasped and then, wow, and then killed one of my guys without dying. So I guess I could have collateral damaged at that point. But from this point, it's pretty elementary. He's got no cards in hand. I just pulse back a Lore Master, and he can't attack me on the ground, and I'm bashing for 1. So my guy is going to die, but I can immediately pulse it right back. And as you can see, the amount of times I've cast Pulse this game, I'm at 37 life as well, so I can start getting reckless and chump attacking pretty soon here too. So what is his draw? Oh, he flipped Gurmag Angler from his front left mana fest there, which again doesn't do anything. Incubator Drone is too good against Gurmag Angler. So this Thopter is just chipping away at him. Tukohas could be annoying. It's going to get back a Vulturous Aven. Return that to hand. But I just keep pulsing. Cruising. His manifests are obviously not flyers. So here I'm just going to cruise. Draw some more flyer gas. And leave Pulse open. Get the last basic out of my deck. So he grasps to kill a flyer, which is fine. My Lore Master can't really attack because it would just die to Gurmag Angler, but playing this Vulturous Aven here does give me the opportunity to collateral damage, sacking my Lore Master, killing the Aven, denying him the ability to draw 2 cards. He has the negate, so his Aven's going to resolve. I think that's fine with me. Before he draws his 2 cards, I'm going to pulse, get back my Lore Master, and again, I'm just burying him. This is actually I played a few test games the night before with Joe Cool, Beta Fan. The first games that I ever played with this deck were last night after I was brewing with it. And after playing with it, I cut Eyeless Watchers and added the Incubator Drones. That was the main change that I did. And I put the Lore Master in the main, the one of. So I'm at the spot now where I calculated it out. He only has 5 blockers and 7 will be unblocked. And as you can see, at 7 life, he is dead. So that is game 1. Against him, we're going to sideboard negate, 2 negate, 1 disdainful stroke, ruin processors, no boiling earth, the reach morphs probably, yes, since he has removal and they could be relevant. So here we have a 1-lander that we will mulligan. Here we have perfect mana and some interactive spells. I put the land on bottom because it's a bad draw. Lands are bad draws unless we draw a Tormenting Voice. He has an Emissary on turn 2, which we don't care about. Holding the gate open in case he plays Read the Bones, but he plays a tap land. So we just slam Sky Spawner. I really don't know why he's playing Crumbling Vestige. So he still has Bone Splinters in his deck post board, and his play is kill my Sky Spawner, make a 2/2 Monastery or Mortuary Mire, get his Sultai Emissary back. I never want to put Sultai Emissary back on top of my deck. The only card I really want to put on top is Gurmag Angler if they can't handle it, or Vulturous Aven. So I'll just kill their Morph and attack for 1, hold open negate, hope they play into it. So that was his draw for turn, so that's pretty bad. So I'm hoping to draw, I guess, a Ruin Processor or a Tormenting Voice. I'll just take 1, fine. Dutiful Attendant, if he's got no creatures in his graveyard, it's fine. Ruin Processor is decent here. I could actually cast it, but there's a couple things I don't like about it. I'm only 1 mana away from holding the gate open, and casting the Rune Processor. Or wait, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I'm 2 mana away, but I have 1 in hand. So all I need is any Scion Creator next turn or any land next turn. Or the following turn if it's not a tap land. And I can play Rune Processor with Negate backup. Since I'm very much convinced he could have Disdainful Stroke here. Or another Bone Splinters, I guess, since he used the first one so liberally. So, I'm fine taking 2 damage. And see, when he doesn't play anything that turn, that definitely solidifies my thoughts that he is on some sort of counter spell. So we're trading 2 for 1, which is not the best, but I figure I'll come out of it soon enough. And of course, the turn where I want to hit 9 mana, I draw a tap land. So I'm following my line of play because I think it's right. So I'm going to play the Wilds. Trade 2 for... He doesn't want to trade 2 for 1 anymore. He wants to trade 1 for 0 and hold back his Sultai Emissary. Which signals to me that he wants me to attack and block and trade, which is weird. He could have attacked with the Emissary and not the Dutiful Attendant. So here's a little awkward. We draw the Sky Spawner. So now I'm thinking I don't have to sack my Scion to have all this mana if I just wait 1 turn. I can just play the Sky Spawner. And this is a really crazy turn. So he leads with Rashaka's Secret. And I figure letting it resolve is not an option when you have double negate. So let's just negate it. He comes back with his own negate. I let that resolve. And then I'm debating, can I basically let this resolve and leave the Rune Processor in hand? I think not, because if he has Disdainful Stroke, then he still gets to leave it open, and we're nowhere closer. And I'm just letting him get these negates and conclusions for free. If I negate and he negates back, then we're kind of at parity. But I could top deck a Rune Processor. So I go for the negate. Turns out he has 2 negate. And so he gets my last 2 cards as well. But getting negates out of hand is pretty crucial, I think, when I can top deck Treasure Cruise. So, of course I don't. I hit Evolving Wilds with 3 basic lands left in my deck, 2 left now. He hits Treasure Cruise, best possible. He had the Bone Splinters, so even if I resolved Rune Processor, he had the Bone Splinters ready for it. I draw basic land, which is worst possible. I'm not going to play it in case I draw Tormenting Voice. Here, I'm not going to sack my Scions for this Manifest. 1, it could be any creature, and it would blow me out. 2, I want my Scions in case I need to Fiery Conclusion like a Gurmag Angler. So he got to go off. Alright, I finally draw Treasure Cruise. I'm guessing he's going to counter it, but he doesn't. And I draw some good cards. Land is bad, but I get to play Gain a Life. Still leave my Mountain in hand. Vulture's Haven is pretty great for him, but here I do have Spell Mastery, so I will kill it before he exploits, so he has no ability to draw cards. But he has a second one anyway, so he's cooking with gas this game. He's up a lot of cards on me. Here I have Rune Processor, gaining 5 life, putting a Swamp back into his graveyard. It looks to be pretty favored for me now. He just basically discarded a Duress. But he has Oblivion Strike. So I find it kind of nuts that maybe he just has no other good sideboard cards, but he has Oblivion Strike and Bone Splinters against my tokens deck, which is just kind of interesting. But he's Treasure Cruised and Vulture's Haven when we were at parity, and I have not drawn any card draw spells, so it basically implies that I'm going to get browned here just by the sheer amount of things he has in play. Draw Tormenting Voice, so I can ship that land. And I have a bunch of creatures, which is pretty good. So, can't complain about that. I get to hold open Disdainful Stroke, because I can always sack a Scion, but he's got removal for my flyers. So now he's crunching in for 5, so I'm actually dying in 2 turns to just all of his flyers, and he's got the rest for my Disdainful Stroke, so... And he's got Disdainful Stroke for my Incubator Drone. So he's what I call embarrassed with riches. Yeah, he's just embarrassing me. So now he's cruising again. Come on, man. Yeah. So I just make him attack me, and I'm super dead. That game, again, the Rashaka's secret turn played out in a way where if all he had was negate open and not Disdainful Stroke, and he didn't have the Bone Splinters, he had to draw into it, maybe I could have pressured him a little bit more, but I'm happy with the way I played. He just drew the Treasure Cruises first. So game 3. Get to be on the play this time. I caught up in clock, so I'm a minute ahead of him. This hand I think is keepable because we can turn 3 Tormenting Voice to help find a blue land, or if we hit an untap land we can play Gearcrafter, and if we hit a blue land we can play Sky Spawner, so I'm happy with it. Lore Masters, good but not great draw. Would love to hit a land here. We do hit untap land. It's not a blue land, but that lets us play Gearcrafter, so at least we're on the board. Duress is really annoying. I almost feel like I should have maybe Tormenting Voiced there. But if he's going to attack for 1, probably means he has another Sultai Emissary, but he's got another Duress. That's really not that great. He only hits an Impulse. We draw Rune Processor, which doesn't really do anything, but we can play a Morph. I have 2 Lore Masters in the deck now, so I don't really care if this Lore Master dies. And he upgrades to make it 2/2. I'm fine trading at this point, because if I draw a Pulse, I think I want to re-get my Gearcrafter rather than getting a Monastery Lore Master right now, at least, because the 1/1 flyer is clocking him a little bit. So for some reason he's just racing me instead of blocking, which I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's so low on clock and his deck is really bad at winning quickly. But he's got the 3rd Duress and he misses completely, which is great. So now he has a Sultai Emissary in his graveyard, so I don't really want to attack with my 2/1 now. So I figure I just Pulse while he's tapped out so I don't get hit with the negate. And just bash him for 1. He's got Gurmag Drowner, sacking the Attendant, getting back Sultai Emissary, and finding a card. I don't think he has to reveal. Yeah, 1 in the hand, rest in the graveyard, so it doesn't need to reveal. I finally draw my blue land. Comes into play tap though, but I'm still clocking him upside the head. And I can replay my Lore Master Morph. Again, a little risky if he has like Oblivion Strike or Complete Disregard, but I gotta just do something. So I'm still gonna bash him in the head with this 1/1 flyer. Here I get to play Sky Spawner, since I feel like the flying is relevant. He's kind of low on cards in hand. He's got the 4th Duress, which hits a negate, which I don't care about because I didn't have blue mana to cast it anyway, and I want to just keep playing creatures. So again, clock him in the air. He's getting pretty low on life. Don't play the Rune Processor there because I want to flip Lore Master here. So here he goes, taking 2 more damage is pretty rough. So this is a really bad attack because I can turn into a 4-3 and eat his guy for free. So I'm just going to get back Pulse, which is pretty unbeatable here. Even if he has, if he had Grasp of Darkness, he would have done it before blocks, but he doesn't. So now my 4-3 can get in there. I can't attack my 2-1 and 1-1 into his 2-3. I could have got in for a point, but I figure this is fine. I'll just play another Morph. Hope he does something crazy. But nope. So, Tormenting Voice, I think I just get rid of this Incubator Drone. Don't really need it. Draw a Gear Crafter. Again, another flyer is pretty strong here. I do attack with everything since it's going to put him at pretty low life now. He gets to eat 2 of my guys, chump 1 of my guys, go to 3. And now I have another flyer in play. So I don't really care if he, duresses me now. He's already used them all. He's used 3 of them. So puts that guy back on top. And we just attack with everything and should be lethal as lethal can be. And that's the game. So, yeah, he was low on clock, so I was low on clock too, though. So it was a tough spot to be in. He had to make some aggressive attacks, but I like the way our deck played out in the sideboard against him. It was still able to be aggressive, and our flock got to attack, and the rune processors were there in case we needed them. So they present just a pretty good threat, Like the Bone Splinters, Oblivion Strikes look really bad against this type of offensive assault. And so if he uses one, which he might need to, then we can follow up with the rune processor, and then he's in a bad spot. So, alright, stay tuned for round 2.